What's up, everybody? Hope you're having a great day. Welcome back to another episode of the Bourbon Pour. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Brian.
Today we're talking underrated bottles. What are some things that kind of go under the radar that you might be passing up on the shelf? I know there's kind of like a wide list, but we narrowed it down to 5.
I think most of our list is unallocated items.
Yeah.
One of them is an allocated item, but I do think it gets slept on a lot because of the category that it's in. Maybe that's kind of where I'm going to go with it. So these are bottles that I think are just bangers.
Yeah.
That are just really good, solid stuff for the money that you're spending.
Yeah. Both of us decided and agreed upon one of them. We agree on all of them, but we made sure to include this one here, Maker's Mark 101. Brian, I'll let you kind of share some thoughts here.
Yeah, so this one, when it came on the market, it was almost kind of allocated, and then they did a full release, and then it's kind of where you can find it on the shelf everywhere now. This is probably, if it was just a tick cheaper, this would be my daily go-to drinker because I just love this profile.
Yeah.
And we don't hate on it, but you just don't see a lot of people talking about it.
Yeah.
There are other channels out there that I do think like this profile and talk about it, but the vast majority don't.
Yeah.
So I think for $31, it's hard to go wrong. This is one that I will always replace. Now, will I go to it every week and kill it off? No, I'm going to let it sit around for a couple, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, and then replace it when I do finish it off.
I think another reason why this gets passed up is it is close in the price range to the cask strength.
Right.
And so people just go for that cask strength. So.
Right, and I can see that too.
I can see that too, but I prefer this over the cask strength.
I do too.
So, anyway, first up for me here is the Jack Daniel's Bonded. Now, that is kind of funny because the year that they released this, I want to say it's like 2021. This was like the Whiskey Advocate Whiskey of the Year because of its taste profile, price, accessibility, whole lot of factors that went into it. But, really since then, getting that accolade, I just don't see this pop up on a lot of lists or a lot of discussions. And I don't know if people root it out because it's Tennessee whiskey or what.
Right.
But I have another theory. I think that's my initial thought is that Tennessee whiskey, people kind of root it out. Some people don't consider Jack Daniel's bourbon. It is. They just choose not to be called bourbon.
Right.
But this is like $33.
$33, yeah.
There are so many bonded products that are so good and in that price range that I think it kind of weeds Jack Daniel's out. It kind of gets tossed in the mix. And once again, I think people are more interested in some of their barrel proof offerings. So,
I think that's where people go with Jack Daniel's. Is that they go to the barrel proof because you can't only go wrong with barrel proof. But this, for what it is,
half the cost.
It's really good, solid. You could use it. You could use both of these as mixers if you wanted to. I'd prefer my mixers to be under $30.
Yeah.
But you could. I mean, that would be fine. This would give you the traditional Jack Daniel's profile. It probably would blend well to an old fashioned. So. Yeah, so it's definitely a good offering.
But it stands really well on its own. If you don't have this bottle, go to your nearest liquor store and buy it. But I'm a Jack Daniel's fan, so I really like the Jack Daniel's profile. I think the Bonded's overlooked.
Okay, well my first bottle I'm going to bring out is the 10 Cup 10 year. So this offering, it's an MGP product, Ross Squid, whatever you want to call it, but it's a lower proof. So this comes in, I think, at 84 proof. So I think that's where people get turned off on by this, thinking that they're not getting a good quality pour for that. But this dollar for dollar for $50 is so good. It is solid. It's lower proof, but man, you get so many elements out of it. I don't know exactly how they do that, but to get it proofed down to that point and still be able to get all the tasting elements that you do out of this pour is delicious.
Yeah.
So, and it's one of those that I always recommend. I would recommend this to a newcomer getting into bourbon, and then I would recommend this to somebody that's been in bourbon for 30 years because I think you don't always need to be drinking 130 proof bourbon. Sometimes it's good to have a nice, easy sipper that's 84 proof that you can just kind of sit and relax and kick back and have a good time and get tons of different elements out of it.
I will die on the hill. I get a little bit of flack for this every now and then, and more not on the channel, but on some Facebook groups. I will always say, high proof doesn't always mean better.
Right,
and doesn't mean that you can only get flavor out of high proof. You can get it out of low proof.
And you get the cap. I always have to show the cap off. You get a little shot glass with it. So if you don't have a cup, you're good because it's on every one of their bottles.
Good for camping and traveling and all that, right? Yeah. All right. My next one, I'd have to put something wild turkey on here. Kentucky Spirit. And I've got 2 bottles here, and there's a reason why for it. But this gets passed up because it is the same price as Rare Breed. Rare Breed is so good and higher proof. And if you're going to have something that's of that quality and of the same price, why are you going to lose the proof points? I think that's kind of a little bit of a theme here. But what I like about the Kentucky Spirit better than Rare Breed. Now, I love Rare Breed. It's one of my favorite bottles. But the argument, I guess, to buy this over Rare Breed, I should say that. The variants that you can get off of these, you can find some really, really, really good bottles. So, for instance, this one is this is a Camp Nelson F Rickhouse bottle. And if you haven't ever bought a Kentucky Spirit, they write it right there on the label. They show you what warehouse it's in. Now, this one back here is Warehouse G, which would, I think, be on the Tyrone campus. Mm-hmm. Not as big.
No, that's good, and
not as big on this.
That's
one.
Actually the 2 that I have, I believe.
Okay.
I think that's what my other one is.
Okay.
But yeah, but they're still good.
Right.
Just wasn't as good as the Camp
And
Nelson.
and maybe that's part of it too. You buy the wrong Kentucky Spirit, and you're like, man, why didn't I just buy a Rare Breed? That can kind of happen.
And if you're looking for the hunt,
yeah,
just look for the Camp Nelson.
Find some stuff from Camp Nelson.
And that if you find that, you're gonna understand what we're talking about.
Right. The hype is real around that. When you hear people who are talking about Wild Turkey and Camp Nelson, and you kind of sometimes was like, okay, is it really that good? Mm-hmm. It is.
Okay. Well, my last bottle, I guess it'll be our last bottle we're going to talk about, is the Rebel 10. So this one, I think probably the reason, again, it's 100 proof, so it's one that when you're looking at, this is allocated. Mm-hmm. So when you're looking at paying allocated dollars and hunting for something maybe 100 proof doesn't always jump out. Everybody always, when I think stuff like that, I'm thinking, I'm going to be getting the barrel proofs and all the different higher proof items. Yeah. This one's a little bit lower, and it's a weeded product, so sometimes that throws off some people. I love this. This is one of my favorite bottles. I got an E.H. Taylor. That was my first allocated bottle that I got. My next one was this one. Oh, cool. And I fell in love with this one. It's just delicious. It has or I always say the spice bite to it. Mm-hmm. It initially drinks a lot higher than 100 proof, but then after you start tasting it really just comes down and you get all kinds of traditional elements out of it. One of my favorite pours. It has recently gone up. When I was originally buying this, it was about $65 to $69. Now, last time I bought it, it was around $90. Whew. So it's came up a lot. And now their Rebel is owned by MGP or Ross and Squibb. So hopefully that doesn't change anything. Maybe that makes it easier for them to not charge as much.
I'd say that'd be a good thing. I think they probably get access to even better barrels.
Right, I would think.
That I'm guilty of not knowing what the heck that was until you gave me a pour of it. So, and now it's been in the last year or so.
Well, it's one around here that, honestly, you just don't see it.
No.
I lucked into it just, there's another store in town that I got it for a couple of years.
We can mention that.
North side.
North side, yeah.
And then Keith got me, I have a backup, so this one's almost done from the previous year. Yeah. And then I got the one that I got this year. Or I guess it would have been the end of last year. I got that. So I still got a few more months to go on that one. So. Yeah. We know that this is only 5 bottles. Mm-hmm. We know there's a ton of them out there, and we want to know what are the bottles that we're missing. What's not on this list that you know about that you think is worthy of being on it? Because I really want to get into that discussion and hear what's it might be even something that's in your area. It's not in ours. We have no clue what it is. It might be a while before we see it, but let us know in the comments below. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Let us know. And as we end every single episode, when you're with your family and your friends, always share your whiskey.